Hey guys, welcome back to First Reveal, where we're building the dream, capturing the journey, and I'm bringing you along with me. My name's Justin, and today I have my gear with me. I wanted to talk about some of the things that I use on the regular basis, some of the things that I don't use as often and wish I did, and some of the things that I probably don't ever use and don't really like that much. I decided to do this because I thought it would be a fun video for everyone. Let's talk about the big one, cameras. I am a Sony user. I'm currently using a Sony a7 IV attached to a Sigma 24 to 70. This camera has been one of my favorite camera purchases in a long time. I've switched to full frame from a Sony APS-C. I had a A6700 and it was a phenomenal APS-C camera, but due to doing photography and wanting to be able to print larger files, I wanted a little more megapixels, so I switched over to full frame. To the lenses, the 24 to 70 from Sigma, great lens, very fast, tack sharp, haven't had any issues with it. It's probably on my camera more than any other lens, at least for video. And, very happy with it. I will eventually probably get the 24 to 70 Sony G Master, but for the time being, extremely happy with the Sigma. My current favorite photography lens is actually going to be the Sony 70 to 200. It is the GM2 version. Wow, what a lens. Internal internal zoom ring, great focus, lots of buttons, lots of features, great lens. Very, very happy with it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. The lens that I really wanted to use more, but haven't used as much as I thought I would be the 105 macro lens. I thought that this was gonna be on my kit all the time because of the deep bokeh and the tight compression and all that, but realistically, I haven't used it as much as I thought I would. Eventually, I want to start doing more product shots and do use this more, but until then, it's kind of been relegated to the side, sadly. Since we're talking about accessories, this one is one of those that I don't use often, but I find very useful when I do use it. It's gonna be the 2x teleconverter from Sony. Pairing it with the 7200, phenomenal. I think I get a range of 140 to 400, and if I turn on APS-C mode, I get anywhere from like 200 to 600 or 250 to 600, something like that. I forget exactly what the math is on it, but I get a very long lens. I don't use it often because I don't go birding and I don't really find 600 to be that useful for a lot of things, but when I go do races and car shows and stuff, it can tend to have kind of a cool effect. So, big fan of that. Another thing that I really love that I use all the time are the Peter McKinnon Polar Pro lens filters. These have been phenomenal. Very sticky. You line it up to the lines, twist, and it's locked in place. I love how quick and easy it is to get on and off. And I love that the filters actually come with a front cap that sits on the lens, and I don't have to worry about taking the rings off. Great feature. All right, so now that we've gotten cameras out of the way, and yes, cameras are extremely important for this career, they're not the most important thing in my opinion, because I think sound is one of the most important things that you can do in both video and vlogging and all of that. And the things that I use the most are probably the DJI mics. I have a couple of the Mic 2s as well as a Mic 3, and they both are very valuable. The Mic 2s still have the microphone jack, so I can actually take and run a lavalier and connect it, say, under a shirt and have the lav up here so it's a little more hidden. Great for on-screen talent and quick uses if I'm doing residential, real estate or things like that and want to do a walkthrough. The DJI Mic 3 I like for when I'm out in public and I want to do a little vlogging. It's a little more, small. It doesn't weigh as much. It also doesn't pull your shirt down as much. I think that was a great upgrade, although it lost the 3.5 jack. It's also magnetic, so I can just clip it and it clips and sticks. That's a big feature. I did put a little piece of vinyl on there to help cover the giant white DJI logo. DJI, if you ever see this, please offer a blacked out faceplate. Would be great for weddings or interviews in places you don't want to see giant mic sticking out as much. The other audio piece I have I can't show you because I am currently recording to it. It is gonna be the VM40 from Comica. It is a shotgun style mic that's wireless and has 32-bit float, a couple low cut filters, high pass filters, lots of other features like that. Been a really good mic. I'm currently recording to it in 32-bit float and to the mic as a to the camera, as a backup track. I've used this to capture car audio where you basically take one of these and stick the little magnet piece to the inside of a car bay and get the turbo sounds. And you stick this near the rear and get the exhaust sounds. It's a really fun little, kit to have. And the shotgun mic is great for flybys. All right, so we're talking video lights. And I have a range of video lights that I use. Currently filming, I am using a Amaran 200. I believe it's an X or an S. It's the bicolor version. I'm using an Amaran 60 S, I believe it is. That is also a bicolor version. Great filming lights. I have an Amaran MC, great for little filler points. I don't use this as often, but I want to start using it more. And then I also have the Nanlite 300 color light. Great for if you want splashes of color or night scenes, things like that. You can really use it for just about anything. I do have a tube light on the wall. I personally never really use it. It's a cheap one I got off Amazon, but nice to have if I need it. Next, we're talking photography lights, and this one's definitely a much different subject. And coming from a film background with doing, film school and all that, this took me a little bit of getting used to, but now I absolutely love flash lighting. I have several things in my kit. I have a couple AD200s, a Pro and a Pro 2. Big fan of this little light. It puts out a lot of power. If I'm just going somewhere real quick and need just a single light, absolutely bring this. I have it paired with a Godox X, I believe it's 3 for Sony, for a flash trigger. Great little flash trigger. Been a big fan of it. If I am actually filming something that requires a little bit more than this, I live in Arizona and the sun is very bright. I actually have, and this one's real heavy, an 8800. And I have the little cable head so that this can sit where it needs to and be the main light source, and this giant body can not, because I think it's probably 20 pounds, give or take. So this one is great for outdoors. If I want to try and match the Arizona sun, this is my guy. I know you can get a bigger one, but it was out of my price range by a little bit, and I thought that this one, with its recycle time and being the newest light, fit my need set quite a bit more. So now that we've talked about the big three, audio, lighting, and cameras, let's talk about camera accessories. First one, card readers. I have two, one that goes with me if I am going on set somewhere or need to, offload photos with a client while I'm sitting somewhere. This one is really cool. It's from PGY Tech, and it actually has both card holders as well as an SD and a CF card reader, plus its own little USB-C cable that I can just plug straight into the computer. I like that it can hold all of my cards if necessary. It even has a little micro SD adapter that I can just slide into the slot, and it holds it, and then I can put micro SDs in from the drones. Really cool little device, very fast. I also have a ProGrade CF Express and SD card for the desk. I like having them separate because I don't want to accidentally have this plugged into the desk and leave, and suddenly I don't have a way to offload my cards. So this one lives on the desk, this one lives in the bag, both very useful. Another big one that camera accessories that I love is the new Tilta 4-bay MPF Z charger. But I love this thing because it charges all four at the same time. USB-C charges very quickly. I don't have to worry about it. Great, absolutely love this thing. Another one that lives in my bag all the time is the newish Film Riot and Small Rig little tool. It basically has every tool you need to work on a camera. Very useful, lives in my bag quite often. I'll talk about these two things, but I don't use them as often. The Smoke Ninja Pro, really good for when I need, smoky scenes, but not really used that often in my workflow, sadly. The Tilta Mini Hydra. This I got to mount to cars and do car chase footage. Looks really good when I use it, but I don't use it as often as I would like. It's a cool thing to have and great for when I need it. I'll go ahead and talk one last one, and this is technically editing, but a really cool thing to have. Tourbox. This one is really cool for adjusting filters and doing things, and let's be honest, the little clickies and the things, it's a really good fidget toy, as much as I probably shouldn't say that. It is very useful when I am editing, especially in Lightroom. I haven't gotten used to using it in DaVinci yet, though. Several quick accessories that I can't show you because I'm currently using them, I want to touch on real quick. One is going to be an LP7H monitor from Portkeys. Big fan of this monitor. Touchscreen controls, decent brightness, allows me to use my wireless system, which is the next part I'll talk about. Very happy with the monitor. I'm using the DJI SDR system for wireless transmission, and I'm currently using it right now, actually. So it allows me to be some distance from the camera and still have controls and whatnot without wires just spread across everything. The third one that I want to point out is the Manfrotto One system. Quick release head that allows me to use a separate quick release plate onto a slider. And that's what I'm currently using right now for filming this. Really cool piece. The slider I'm using is a iFootage Shark Slider Nano 2. It's the medium one. They have a smaller and a larger one, but I thought this was perfect for my uses. And very happy with it. Quiet, quick, stable. I did get slider arms from Neewer to attach to the camera tripod legs so that it gives it 3-point support, and yeah, very happy with it. On top of that, it connects to the RS5 and it integrates the whole system really well. The RS5 is phenomenal. I am a big fan of stabilized footage in all of my work. It also has a really nifty little new attachment that the older ones don't, where it connects a small camera to it and it allows it to automatically track as necessary. I have done that in my previous video, and it's great for tracking animals, products, cars, people, etc. We've covered a lot of things, but I want to talk about two more. And the first one we're going to talk about is drones. And drones are very near and dear to me because this is actually what got me back into doing photography and videography. And I just absolutely love the feeling of being free, especially with FPV drones. But before we talk about FPV, I do want to go ahead and mention cinematic drones. Big fan of the DJI system. I use it both for these and for my FPV drones. But they're different flight styles and very different characteristics. So you have the cinematic style drones, and what these are really good for are very slow paced, still, moving cinematic shots. I call them cinematic drones for a reason. This is an Air 3, very, very happy with it. I haven't needed to upgrade because the camera is really good. Although maybe someday I might upgrade. That Mavic 4 Pro looks pretty cool. All right. Now, we're going to talk about FPV, and man, there is a lot to talk about with FPV. Different sizes, different reasons, etc. I'm going to touch on the big one first. What did he say? And this is going to be one that I bought. It uses a DJI O4 Pro system, and very fast. I believe this goes about 130 miles an hour, and man, it is really cool. I use this, I'll go ahead and insert a clip here, a lot for like car chases or really cool mountain dives and stuff. Very, very neat drone. The problem is its weight. In the US and in many other countries in the world, you have a 250 gram limit near people. And so, plus other caveats of that, but this one is well over. It's 700, 800 grams, and you throw a GoPro on there, to get exceptional footage. And needless to say, open prop, 700 grams, that doesn't fly. Well, no, it flies great, but it doesn't fly for the FAA and, flying around people. So that brings in the little guy, and not the littlest guy, but this one is gonna be sub 250 with a battery and a action cam on there. It still actually uses the O4 Pro system, which is, phenomenal video, but I also like having the ability to use the naked GoPro, which I built myself. Pretty easy, but kind of a daunting task to do. In fact, I actually built this whole drone myself. These are really fun because of the guards and being under 250 grams. You can actually use them indoors, you can fly around people, and it's a lot safer and easier to do. Great drone. A little fragile, so don't crash it compared to the bigger ones or even the tinier guys. These are called Tiny Whoops. I use these a lot for practice. They're also great for the summer when it's too hot, or depending on where you are in the US, for the winter when it's too cold and snowy. You can fly these around houses, and because they're soft plastic, you can smash them into walls, and I would say 80% of the time they survive. I do have probably a graveyard of 15 of these, or at least different parts of them that have died over the years. These do use an analog setup, so I believe I have the goggles right there. Different system from DJI, and it doesn't work with DJI. So keep that in mind if you ever want to get into FPV drones. Last thing we're going to touch on today is going to be behind the scenes and action cameras. And I'll go ahead and talk about several of them. The first one being the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Love this little thing. It's kind of been relegated to a specific use for me because as much as the footage is phenomenal, it's a little bit on the big side, and the gimbal makes it a little bit susceptible to damage, and I don't want to break this. So I tend to use it with the Hydra Alien, and it kind of becomes my car chase rig for the time being. Great little camera. It is good for vlogging, but like I said, just size for me and being out in public, I'm not the biggest fan of it. But speaking of being out in public and making life a lot easier, one thing I am a big fan of is the DJI Osmo Nano. I love this little camera. Footage is phenomenal. I actually have been using it to film a lot of the, quick talking heads when I'm out and about, or, even some of the footage of me talking to dealers and whatnot, because it's just quick and easy, and, I really like this camera. It has a separate little screen that you can connect, and it's about the size of an action cam, or you can disconnect it and you stick it somewhere and you check your footage, and it's just a really cool little camera. Very big fan of it. Definitely use it all the time. It's also magnetic. It's got a little lanyard you can stick to your chest and let it go. It's got a hat clip. You can magnet to the bottom or the back. Really cool little camera. The Insta360 X5. Mainly got this for snowboarding, but I'm really finding uses for it outside of that. When you don't do the Tiny Planet and use it cinematically, it can make some really cool footage, although I don't need it sometimes because I have the drones. But I'll insert a quick snowboarding clip because I thought it was kind of funny of a guy just screaming down the mountain. That was great, Henry. Cool camera, just not used very often. The last one that I don't use very often, except for drone usage, is the GoPro. The standard action camera, I just find the footage is decent, but it's just not for me. I think the size of the Nano kind of kills off something this size, and the fact that they're both waterproof and, easier, I tend to grab this more, and this is relegated to drone usage. Not that I'm upset about that. I do still use it for snowboarding and things, but yeah, sadly, I don't do it that often. Okay, so that's all my gear. I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed bringing out and talking about a lot of the things that I use, and I hope you find it entertaining and informational. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one, where we're going to continue building the dream, and I'm going to bring you along for the journey. All right, until then, see ya.